Well, hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi and we're bringing you this special broadcast of top stories from our studios here in the National Capital Region. We have an expansive list of stories for all of you to cover. This is to essentially catch the news pulse of the day. Your one-stop shop to understand what's happening back at home, what's happening across the globe, be it top international updates or be it climate change as well, which, by the way, we at News 9 Live pay a hefty focus on as well. But we're going to start this news hour with the top story right on top. Let's cut across to Uttarkashi, where our workers have been trapped for more than 15 days now. It's 15th day of the rescue operations currently. What you're looking at on your screens is essentially the vertical drill that has begun its operations right on top of the Silkyara tunnel. Now, the Uttarkashi Tunnel Rescue operation, it has entered its 15th day. In terms of the latest updates, we'll just put them on the screen for all your perusal. In the latest update, the vertical drilling to rescue the 41 trapped workers in Uttarkashi's Silkyara tunnel has begun. Pictures on your screens tell the same. The operation has entered its final phase with just a few meters of rubble that's left to cut through. Now, the American auger machine, which was doing the horizontal drilling at the Silkyara end of the tunnel collapse site, is also being removed from the tunnel after the blades got stuck after meeting a geological hurdle. Those metal pieces are going to be removed, after which the manual removal of debris is going to begin, which is again a painstaking task. Meanwhile, the rescue authorities are now trying to remove the auger machine, which got stuck inside the tunnel after its blades got damaged. Horizontal drilling operations continue to remain suspended till the time auger machine is completely removed from the tunnel. And like I was mentioning, you'll have to incorporate plasma cutter machines that have again been brought in to clear the debris. But manual removal of debris is also something that people are going to have to focus on. All the authorities over there, you can hear them clapping as the vertical drilling process begins. But then again, experts are now talking about the kind of pressure the mountain has to go through as well. You're technically probing the mountain from all sides, from the left side, from the south side, from the north, east, and then you have multi-dimensional vertical drilling that's taking place as well. Many people out there, and especially environmental experts, saying all of this is going to take a toll on the mountain as well. Manual drilling is going to be considered once the auger machine is removed, and if it is in fact a modus operandi, it's going to take a lot of time to manually take out all the debris from inside the mouth of the tunnel. Authorities are also thinking of other options to complete the rescue. We've already been talking about a 5-action plan. What you're looking at now on your screens is a BSNL landline, and we'll play out that report also in just a short while. But what they've done essentially is to connect these landlines with these, they've laid out in fresh wires for all the people that are trapped inside, the workers that are trapped inside the tunnel, to speak to their loved ones. Anxiety and mental trauma is something the doctors can't physically see from the outside. You need therapy, you need conversation, you need dialogue to understand things like those, which is why it's important that even as the Chief Minister, visited various members of the, family members of the workers that are trapped inside the tunnel. Right now, these lines are being laid, antidepressants are being pushed in, even as the Indian Air Force has flown in critical DRDO-made equipment to Dehradun from various parts of the country, and from here the equipment is going to be taken to the tunnel site. A big drilling machine has been taken to the point from where vertical drilling is now has begun, it's underway. But this option is also not that easy. Take a look at that, which is why a simple boring is has enthusiastically let into a burst of claps by these officials as well. Now, with several options and rescue plans being considered, officials have refrained from giving any time frame within which the rescue mission could be completed.
अभी सुबह से प्लाज्मा मशीन जो हैदराबाद से आई है उसने काम करना शुरू कर दिया है और तेजी से कटिंग हो रही है। अब कुल 14 मीटर शेष बचा हुआ है जो आगर मशीन को काट के निकालना है। लगता है कि जल्दी ये काम हो जाएगा अगले कुछ घंटों में। उसके बाद मैनुअल काम शुरू होगा डीलिंग का।
We may have an unusual situation occurring here in the Himalayas where the class of rock changes, which is not something, it might. Now I'm not, it's because the area that's collapsed.
But that needs to be investigated.
It has to be investigated, and the area that collapsed hadn't collapsed before, hadn't even given any clue that it was going to collapse before. So this is part of the challenge for us in an engineering scientific sense. What is it about the ground here, this mountain, that caught us on the back foot? Why has the engineering not supported the way it should? And the question you asked me before, that might be part of the answer, but I don't know at the moment.
topography, the geology, international tunneling experts, I mean, they're bewildered with the kind of geology they're having to go through as well. But at the same time, you know, News 9 has been trying hard to reach the spot, and not just the tunnel site, but speak to some of the workers that are trapped inside as well. Try to speak to some of the families of those trapped workers. We'll play that out just for you. But meanwhile, our colleague Nivriti, she's been at the tunnel site for the longest time now. We're going to try and get in touch with her to bring you a live update. Meanwhile, listen into this report where she talks about how these wires were laid in, for these BSNL wires were laid in for the people who are trapped inside the tunnel to speak to their loved ones back home.
Now, what our authority is doing is to give connectivity to the workers. You can see this BSNL instrument here. So the mobile connectivity is what they are trying is that workers are connected 24/7 to their relatives, to the authorities, everybody, because until now what was happening was that they were speaking to the people inside through microphones and speakers. But now the authorities have set up a connection. They are trying to set up a connection. So you can see the equipment here that is that has been placed here, and the wires are being taken to inside the tunnel, so that the workers, 41 workers who are stranded inside for almost 15 days now, are connected 24/7 with their relatives who are waiting for them outside, and to the authorities, and to rescue workers, and to the mess where the food is being prepared for them. So everything is being taken care of, because it is going to take time. Earlier they were expecting that they will be coming out soon and work was going at a fast pace, but because the time has increased, so the authorities have decided that this connection should be provided to the workers trapped inside.
Now, the Chief Minister of State, Uttarakhand, Pushkar Singh Dhami, well, he met one of the family members of one of the trapped workers. This, right here, is his own namesake, Pushkar Singh Eri. That Pushkar Singh Dhami, the Chief Minister, went to his residence to meet them as well. And even as we're showing you these pictures of how the local authorities and the Chief Minister himself is trying his level best to allay fears, to allay anxiety, dispel those thoughts about the trapped workers not coming out. It's important that a close contact, a physical touch, a personal touch, a dialogue, is maintained and is established. At the same time, Nivriti, our colleague, she's been speaking to a lot of people. We'll present to you two case studies here, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at this. You've got somebody from Lakhimpur Kheri, whose son, 22 years old, is trapped inside the tunnel. We spoke to them. And also a case study that's coming in from Bihar, where in Ara, a man, his brother Sabah Ahmed, is trapped inside the tunnel. We spoke to these two people. Take a look at what they're going through, their plight right now.
हमको पता चला यहाँ जो मेस में खाना बना रहा है, तो एक काम तो कैसे 2-3 बार कर यहाँ से गया है घर पर, फिर आता था तो बताकर नहीं आता था कि हम कहाँ जा रहे हैं। जब आ जाता था तब बताता था कि हम पहुँच गए हैं। तो पहले जब बात हमने की तो हमने ये कहा कैसे हो बेटे, जो भी बात करेगा तो यही कहेगा। तो कहने लगा हम ठीक हैं, और हम कहने खाना उना की व्यवस्था आप घबराते तो नहीं, खाना पीना पाते हो? कहला हाँ पाते हैं पापा। घबराते तो नहीं, घबराना मत बेटे, एक दूसरे जितने लोग हो टीम साथ में एक हंसकर जीना है, जंग लड़के बाहर निकलना, घबराना नहीं बेटे। कहला नहीं पापा, हारने वाले में के हम नहीं हैं। कहने लगा और ठीक है सबका हाल चाल? हम कहें ठीक है। आप कहा खाना पीना खाए रहना? हमने कहा बेटा आप खाना पीना खाए रहना, हम सब बने रहना, हिम्मत मत हारना, काम जारी है, चल रहा है। सरियों का झुंड लोहे का आगे पड़ गया है, गाटर वगैरह, तो वो काटने में समय बीत रहा है। वो सब जब कट के साफ हो जाएगा, जहाँ साफ हुआ तहाँ बाहर हो जाओगे।
मेरे अंदर भाई फंसे हुए हैं जिनका नाम सबा अहमद है। यहाँ कंपनी में वो सीनियर फोरमैन के पोस्ट पे हैं। मेरे से पर डे उनसे बातचीत होती है, 2-3 बार 4 बार बात होती है। वो लोग सब अंदर में बढ़िया से हैं, लोग मज़े से हैं, कोई तरह का अंदर में प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। हर चीज़ खाने पीने का अवेलेबल है, बाहर से भेजा जा रहा है। कोई तरह का जो भी उधर से वो लोग रिक्वायर कर रहे हैं, वो सामान इधर से भेज दिया जा रहा है। मैं यहाँ 13 तारीख को आया हूँ। 13 तारीख से अभी तक मैं पर डे कॉन्टेक्ट में हूँ। इस तरह का तो कभी हादसा मैं देखा नहीं हूँ, और जो हादसा हुआ है इसमें सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट भी है, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट भी है, सब शामिल है। जो भी बाहर से भी टीम आई है, बहुत एक्सपर्ट सारे लोग आए हुए हैं। ये लोग सब एकजुट होकर के कंपनी के साथ काम कर रहे हैं। ये बहुत बड़ी बात है, ये बहुत खुशी की बात है।
उम्मीद भी होती है
सब लोगों को यही उम्मीद लगा हुआ है कि जितना जल्दी हो सके वो लोग 41 आदमी बाहर निकाल ले। वो सब घर के बारे में, सब फैमिली वाले लोगों के बारे में पूछ रहे थे, सब लोग के बारे में बता दिए कि सब लोग बढ़िया से है, कोई तरह के किसी को ये नहीं है, तुम अपना बढ़िया से रहो, तुम्हारे को कोई टेंशन ना लेना है। जो भी है यहाँ से कंपनी जो भी हो रहा है जितना जल्दी है तुम लोग को बाहर निकालने का प्रयास कर रही है और बहुत जल्दी आप लोग बाहर आ जाओगे। मगर ये भी अपने भाई को बोला हूँ कि जितना भी लोग है सब लोगों को मिला के चलो, सब लोगों को हौसला दो कि हौसला नहीं हारना है और जितना जल्दी है आप लोगों को बाहर निकालना। सेहत के बारे में बोला, सबकी सेहत ठीक है, किसी को कोई तरह का ऐसे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, सब लोग बढ़िया से रह रहे हैं।
Wow Shot News 9 Live to bring you all the latest updates that are coming out of the Silkyara tunnel collapse site. Nivriti, as I'm learning, is on the other side of the tunnel at the Barcoat end, trying to bring us the latest updates as to what's happening on the other side. Meanwhile, it is election season in the country. We're going through in the middle of 5 assembly elections. Telangana is the only one that's left right now. But all of this in the run-up to the mandate 2024, the general elections that are taking place next year. Next up, coming up, are stories that are political developments on the chessboard. How are they moving and shaping up? Take a look. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the public at Medak in Telangana today. Prime Minister Modi targeted K. Chandrasekhar Rao's government over scams, and the Prime Minister also accused KCR of only working for his own children and relatives and not essentially for the public. Now, the Prime Minister said the Bharatiya Rashtra Samiti and its head, K. Chandrasekhar Rao, have indulged in scams of crores of rupees and have filed their pockets instead of doing any work for the public. Let's take a look at how the Prime Minister targeted KCR and his government in Telangana today.
यहाँ के लोगों को धोखा देने का कोई मौका छोड़ा नहीं है। उन्होंने अगर काम किया होता तो सीएम को गजवेल के लोगों से माफी न मांगनी पड़ती। केसीआर की आदत झूठे वायदे करके उन्हें तोड़ देने की है। केसीआर ने दलित सीएम का वायदा करके तोड़ दिया। केसीआर ने दलित बंधु योजना का वायदा करके तोड़ दिया। केसीआर ने 2 बेडरूम वाले घर का वायदा करके उसे भी तोड़ दिया। केसीआर ने युवाओं को रोजगार का वायदा करके तोड़ दिया। केसीआर ने किसानों को पानी का वायदा करके उसे भी तोड़ दिया। केसीआर ने स्कीम्स का वायदा किया था, लेकिन बदले में सिर्फ और सिर्फ स्कैम्स दिए, स्कैम्स दिए, स्कैम्स दिए। केसीआर ने आपके बच्चों के लिए काम करने का वायदा किया था, लेकिन सिर्फ अपने बच्चों, अपने रिश्तेदारों के लिए काम किया। केसीआर ने आपकी आय बढ़ाने का वायदा किया था, लेकिन करोड़ों के घोटाले करके हर साल अपनी आय बढ़ा ली।
And it's not just Prime Minister Modi. It seems like all politicians, at least those who are contesting in Telangana, are making a beeline for the state. Rahul Gandhi addressed a public meeting in Andol in Telangana. Rahul Gandhi said that as soon as the Congress government is formed in Telangana, all 6 promises will become laws. Under Mahalakshmi scheme, rupees 2,500 will be transferred to the bank accounts of women. Gas cylinders will cost rupees 500, and all bus travel for women will be free in the state. Implicating maybe what Karnataka had to go through this time around, and what a mandate that state also threw about after 4 decades. Let's take a look at what Rahul Gandhi promises to the public of Telangana.
सरकार అంటే ఏంటి? कांग्रेस पार्टी की सरकार प्रजाला सरकार कैसे चलाएगी, मैं ये आपको कहना चाहता हूं। सबसे पहले हमने 6 वायदे किए हैं। जैसे ही हमारी सरकार बनेगी, ये 6 वायदे कानून बन जाएंगे। पहली कैबिनेट मीटिंग में कांग्रेस पार्टी का चीफ मिनिस्टर इन 6 वायदों को कानून में बदल डालेगा। सबसे पहला वायदा महालक्ष्मी स्कीम, महिलाओं का स्कीम, 2,500 रुपए हर महीने महिलाओं के बैंक अकाउंट में। आज आप गैस सिलेंडर के लिए 1,200 रुपए देते हो। कांग्रेस पार्टी की सरकार जैसे ही आएगी 1,200 रुपए नहीं होगा, 500 रुपए का सिलेंडर होगा। आज तेलंगाना की महिलाएं बस के लिए पैसा देती हैं, हर महीने तकरीबन 2,000 रुपए उनकी जेब से निकलता है। चुनाव के एकदम बाद कांग्रेस पार्टी सरकार महिलाओं को बस में पूरे तेलंगाना में फ्री में जाने देगी। तो देखिए, 2,500 रुपए आपके बैंक अकाउंट में, 700 रुपए गैस सिलेंडर के बचे और तकरीबन 2,000 रुपए बस के आपके बचे। मतलब तकरीबन 5,000 रुपए कांग्रेस पार्टी आपके बैंक अकाउंट में हर महीने डाल रही है।
Well, everybody is making their own set of promises. Meanwhile, Home Minister Amit Shah addressed a public meeting in Narayanpet in Telangana. Amit Shah stressed that the election is important to decide the future of Telangana. He derided the KCR government for unbridled corruption for the last 10 years. Amit Shah also pointed out that K. Chandrasekhar Rao's government didn't do any work or deliver on their promises for hospitals and degree colleges. Take a look.
तो आने वाला चुनाव सिर्फ हमारे प्रत्याशी को एमएलए बनाने का चुनाव नहीं है। आने वाला चुनाव तेलंगाना का भविष्य तय करने वाला चुनाव है। केसीआर सरकार और उनके मंत्रियों ने 10 साल तक जिसका हिसाब न हो इतना भ्रष्टाचार किया है। तो यहां पर भूमि कब्जाना और कई प्रकार की एक्टिविटी यहां के चुने हुए एमएलए के माध्यम से हुई है। आप मुझे बताओ, केसीआर सरकार ने 100 बेड का अस्पताल बनाने का वादा किया था, पूरा हुआ है क्या? मित्रों, उन्होंने डिग्री कॉलेज बनाने का वादा किया था, पूरा हुआ है क्या? उन्होंने युवाओं को बेरोजगारी भत्ते का वादा किया था, पूरा हुआ है क्या? केसीआर ने कोई काम नहीं किया, सिर्फ इनके विधायकों ने काली मिट्टी और बालू का अवैध खनन करने का काम किया है।
And in the latest update coming in from Manipur, Chief Minister Biren Singh has said that the Manipur government is in talks with an underground insurgent group and a peace accord is expected to be signed soon. Now, Biren Singh did not name any particular insurgent group but said that the government was expecting to sign a peace accord with a big underground organization very shortly. Now, this is the first time an official confirmation has come from the government of Manipur with regard to the insurgent groups and initiating a dialogue of peace with them. Many people are questioning, is Manipur close to a peace accord now? Manipur has been witnessing turmoil since May, with tensions rising between Kuki groups and the Meiteis in the hilly state. And tragic news coming in from Kerala, where at least 4 students died and over 60 were injured in a stampede situation at a concert in Kochi University of Science and Technology, QSAT, on Saturday. Now, Kerala Health Minister Veena George said that the injured students were taken to Kalamassery Medical College. But meanwhile, the Chief Minister has reacted, the Vice Chancellor has reacted. He says that the university, the stampede took place in the university when it started raining at that concert, and students from all the other colleges also attended, where the event had almost 2,000 people people inside, and the event venue place could not hold that many people. Let's take a look at what went wrong at the college concert event, essentially. Now, the incident took place during Nikita Gandhi's music concert. Needless to say, a lot of people would be in attendance. Sudden rains caused people to rush for shelter, and the entry to the program was reserved only for ticket holders, but it's reported that a lot of local residents without tickets, non-ticket holders, were also let in, leading to the massive overcrowding. Kerala authorities are looking into the matter, and a thorough search is currently underway. When people started running for shelter, they ran straight up to the towards the podium, and as you can see on the pictures on your screens, not a lot of place for 2,000 people. 4 people have unfortunately succumbed to their injuries in this stampede. Another 60 currently getting treated in Kalamassery Medical Hospital.
It is suspected that there was a college arts function being held by the School of Engineering. We were having a music program. The invitees were asked to come in a particular black T-shirt. This is what we understood. We have not confirmed, in black T-shirts, and their own volunteers were actually allowing them by verifying and all these things. Suddenly, it is some of the people have said that there is sudden rain, and people who are on the sides try to get inside because only the cover is inside. That the freak incident. So suddenly, people who are in the step side, they fell together. They fell down, and people walked over them, and they got. This auditorium has a capacity of 1,000, maybe 1,500 people. It was not even half filled. Not even half filled. It was khali. There were people all along the sides, and the organizers were allowing them inside. In batch or something like that, based on identity. It is said by some of the eyewitnesses that the sudden rain, they tried to get inside because the cover is over there. That pushed the people who are on the edge of the the steps, and they fall down, and it appears to be a freak incident.
And moving on, today marks the 15th anniversary of the horrific 26/11 terror attacks in Mumbai. The whole nation is paying tribute to the fallen heroes who laid down their lives defending the nation. President Draupadi Murmu took to X, formerly known as Twitter, to remember the victims of the terror attacks. The president paid homage to the valiant security personnel who laid down their lives for the motherland. A memorial was also held at the Mumbai Police Headquarters. Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde and Deputy Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis solemnly honored the fallen heroes. 15 years have passed since 10 terrorists from Pakistan landed in Mumbai using the sea route and opened fire at iconic places like the Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminal Station, the Oberoi Hotel, the Leopold Cafe and the Taj Hotel. The operation to neutralize the terrorists took about 3 more days, and the supreme sacrifice of the several officers of the Mumbai Police and several other Indian security forces, it did not go in vain. We're still remembering all our fallen bravehearts. Prime Minister Modi remembered the martyrs of the 26/11 terror attacks in his monthly radio address, Man Ki Baat. Calling the incident the most dastardly terror attack, the Prime Minister said the nation can never forget the day of November 26.
आज 26 नवंबर हम कभी भी भूल नहीं सकते हैं। आज के ही दिन देश पर सबसे जघन्य आतंकी हमला हुआ था। आतंकियों ने मुंबई को, पूरे देश को थर्रा कर रख दिया था। लेकिन ये भारत का सामर्थ्य है कि हम उस हमले से उबरे और अब पूरे हौसले के साथ आतंक को कुचल भी रहे हैं। मुंबई हमले में अपना जीवन गंवाने वाले सभी लोगों को मैं श्रद्धांजलि देता हूं। इस हमले में हमारे जो जांबाज वीरगति को प्राप्त हुए, देश आज उन्हें याद कर रहा है।
And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to shift our focus now to that conflict in West Asia between Israel and Hamas that has now entered its 51st day. Latest from the war front up next. They contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being. The war between Israel and Hamas has now entered its 51st day. Before we move on, bring you humanitarian stories from both sides of the divide, let's get you the latest update on your screens. The second batch of hostages, 13 Israelis and 4 Thai nationals, have been released by Hamas. They've arrived in Israel, currently undergoing treatment. Meanwhile, Israel has freed 39 Palestinians, including 6 women and 33 minors. This even as Israeli troops killed 6 Palestinians in the West Bank area, where raids are certainly continuing. Hamas has threatened to delay the next hostage release, this time again over Gaza aid dispute. And even as these disputes continue to happen, 14,854 Palestinians have been killed in this conflict. This includes 6,150 children, almost 40% of the death toll. Now, nearly 2 months into the Israel-Hamas war, a 4-day pause in fighting began in Gaza on Friday. This as part of an agreement between Hamas and Israel. Hostage release was a part of the agreement, owing to which Hamas handed over 13 Israeli hostages and 4 foreigners to the International Committee of the Red Cross on Saturday. Qatar's foreign ministry has also corroborated this particular swap after a brief disruption earlier due to the deal to free captives was overcome with the mediation of Qatar and Egypt. Now the tension continued tonight outside Israel's Offer military jail at a Betunia crossing near Ramallah in West Bank on Saturday, where gunfire was heard as well before wounded people were taken away by the medics. Earlier, 3 people were reportedly injured by live bullets, according to the Palestine Red Crescent Society. Now the jail was the scene of Friday's handover of Palestinian prisoners from Israeli custody as part of the Gaza hostage swap deal and ceasefire. Earlier, the armed wing of Hamas said it had decided to delay Saturday's scheduled second round of hostage releases until Israel met conditions including committing to let aid trucks into northern Gaza, and claimed Israel was failing to respect the terms of the Palestinian prisoner release agreed as part of the hostage deal. And even as all of this was happening, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he was closely monitoring the operations to bring back to Israel a second batch of hostages freed from Hamas's captivity. Take a look at that. Netanyahu, along with National Security Advisor Zachi Hanegbi and other military officials, were at the military headquarters in Tel Aviv as Hamas fighters released 17 hostages, including Israeli women and children, as well as Thai farm workers, during the second day of the war's first truce. The official release happened later in the night after a brief disruption earlier to the deal to free captives was overcome with the help of Qatar and Egypt. But amidst that small little dispute vis-a-vis, are we going to let this Gazan aid into northern part of the strip or not, Israeli protesters, they took to the streets, expressed disappointment on Saturday as the scheduled hostage release from Gaza was apparently delayed. Now, the deal appeared to be back on track on Saturday night after a row over aid supplies to the north of the besieged enclave, and it was resolved by the mediation, like I've been mentioned before. A Palestinian official familiar with the diplomacy said that Hamas would continue with the 4-day truce that was agreed with Israel, which was the first break in fighting in the 7 weeks of the war. This is the huge crowd that is taken to the streets, disappointed with the delay that took place right before the swap of the second batch of hostages. The third batch, well, it might just happen tonight. It might happen early in the morning. The lists have been exchanged. What's going to happen? Well, we'll have to wait and find out. Meanwhile, people are disappointed on every step of the way, mostly Israelis.
We are very, very disappointed as we have been waiting so long for the return of those hostages. We are very disappointed because we were thinking they are going to be all children. We are hoping for the baby at the age of 9 months to arrive this evening, and he's not arriving. We are very, very, very afraid it will not happen.
I think this is a snag that may well be able to be overcome. I feel sorry for the people who have relatives who are hostages, and they have to bear this delay, which is probably excruciating for them and very, very difficult to handle.
And like you can clearly see, emotions are running high. Thousands gathered in Jerusalem on Saturday as well, all in protest to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's mishandling of the hostage situation and the war against Hamas. Protesters with Israeli flags, banners and signs condemning Netanyahu demanded that he leave office.
The current Prime Minister of Israel to leave his job because he is the one responsible for the October 7th disaster, the biggest one we had in the history of Israel, where 400 people were murdered and babies, women and children were kidnapped, raped and burned to death. We need him to go. He is responsible. We need him to go now, yesterday.
But there are positives to this story as well. The Israeli army on Sunday released a video of a 9-year-old hostage who was held by Hamas, running into her father's arms as she was brought back to Israel after spending her 9th birthday as a captive in Gaza Strip just the day before.
I have to tell his father.
Returned in the second group of hostages released by Hamas under a Qatari brokered deal.
So for me,
she appeared in good health, along with fellow hostage Hila Rotem Shoshani, whose mother still remains in Gaza.
And I have to tell his father because unfortunately I'm the one who told her father that she has been found murdered. And a week later I'm the one who told the father that she probably captured. So it's a kind of a relief for me that she's still alive, she's here, she's with us.
Well, now Solvay and other community members were watching the video of the release of the hostages at the Dead Sea Resort, where most of the kibbutz Be'eri residents have evacuated to after the raid.
And I have to tell his father to give him a hug.
Well, now on the other side, there was happiness as well. Hundreds of Palestinians welcomed the freed prisoners in the early hours on Sunday in West Bank. Footage appeared to show released prisoners being carried on people's shoulders as crowds cheered, clapped and waved flags on the streets. The Israeli authorities released 39 Palestinian prisoners, including 6 women and 33 children, from 2 prisons, all as part of the second batch of the exchange deal with Hamas. A little close in on the details. Isra Jabis, a Palestinian detainee freed by Israel under this hostage deal, agreed with the Islamist group Hamas, was reunited with her family on Sunday as well. Jabis suffered from burn injuries, which are the result of an explosion in her car during what Israel said was an attempt to murder back in 2015. She was sentenced to 11 years in an Israeli prison. But like we here at News 9 have been saying, the ripple effects can be felt from the extreme east to the extreme west. Take a look at this. Tens of thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters marched through the central London on Saturday to call for a permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, the latest in a series of similar weekend demonstrations in the capital since the 7-week war began. Now, Saturday's rally took place during a 4-day truce between Israel and Palestinian Islamist terrorist group Hamas. The first break in the fighting, but protesters said this was not enough. Protesters carried Palestinian flags and held signs calling for a permanent ceasefire across the strip. Some protesters chanted, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." Aerial footage over the protest route showed a slow-moving crowd carrying flags and banners. A police helicopter was monitoring the protest from above. Now, the London Metropolitan Police reported that a small number of the protesters were also arrested for unlawful activities as well. And just a few weeks ago, you had the former Interior Minister, Suella Braverman, who was fired by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak after she had claimed that the police was very lenient on the pro-Palestinian protesters. Circling back to what's happening inside the Gaza Strip. Take a look at these pictures on your screens. Collapsed parliament building inside the Gaza city and a damaged area around. These are evidence of Hamas's war with Israel that was seen on Saturday morning. When a Palestinian official said that Israeli army attacked and destroyed the buildings during the 50 days of the war. And what they say is that the evidence is right in front of you. Gaza's parliament in complete tatters. And we saw all those people moving on their bullock carts, using their livestock to help them move from one place to another. Israeli Defense Forces has put out an important message for the civilians of Gaza. These, they say, are the conditions that people must follow as part of the ceasefire. It says that for your safety, follow these instructions. And during the period of the temporary humanitarian pause, civilians are allowed to move south, especially southward of the Wadi Gaza. It says, do not move to the north part of the strip. It says it is prohibited to enter the sea. And it also says, one of the conditions, it says it is prohibited to approach within 1 kilometer of the border with Israel. Now, the 4-day truce is currently active. Collapsed buildings and damaged roads were seen in Jabalia in Gaza, and they were the evidence of Hamas's war with Israel. These are pictures from the day after the two sides began a 4-day truce to allow the exchange of Israeli hostages and Palestinian prisoners. The Palestine Red Crescent Society said 196 trucks of humanitarian aid carried food, water and medical supplies through Rafah crossing on Friday, the biggest such convoy into Gaza since Hamas's assault on Israel and Israel's subsequent bombardment of the territory. People are moving out amid this truce to really take a stock of what's happened, to survey these ruined sites, to go back to once what was their home. And once more, a Lebanese citizen, Rose Rostam, she faces displacement as conflict spills across the border. She is part of the 50,000 people, as per the United Nations, that have been forced to flee due to clashes on Lebanon's border with Israel. And this marks the third instance where conflict has uprooted her life.
Rose Rostam has had her life uprooted before. This time, she's among the some 50,000 people the UN says have been displaced because of clashes on Lebanon's border with Israel. On October 7th, a war started between Gaza and Israel. Hezbollah started firing at Israel, and we live near the border in a village called Burj al-Malouk. Then the shells began to land very close. And we have children. Of course, they get very scared. We couldn't stay in the house and hear the shelling and firing.
ونحن عنا أولاد وأكيد كتير بخافوا.
We were frightened. We then went to Sidon, to my brother-in-law's house.
أكيد خفنا ونزلنا على صيدا عم بيت خي جوزي.
It marks the third time conflict has driven her from her home. During Lebanon's civil war in the 1980s, she moved twice. The first time because of Israeli bombardment. The second was to flee Palestinian militant attacks. Lebanon is a nation of displaced peoples. The influx of Palestinians following the creation of Israel in 1948 helped spark the Lebanese civil war decades later. In 2006, hundreds of thousands were displaced during the Israel and Hezbollah war. Then came Syria's civil war in 2011, which led to the arrival of 1.5 million refugees. That, combined with the 2019 financial collapse, which destroyed Lebanon's economy, has left many without an income or job. The combination of economic despair and the influx of refugees is sparking tension with locals. Meanwhile, many refugees, faced with growing hostility and low work prospects, are eyeing Europe and other countries. Rostem says her family used to be comfortable when her husband sold car parts, but he was forced to close up shop when the fighting began. Now she checks the news to see if her house was among the latest hit by rockets.
And taking a look at some other top international developments as well. Bangladesh has invited foreign observers, especially from the Western nations, for its upcoming general elections, which are scheduled to take place on January 7th, early next year. Now, this invitation to foreign dignitaries was extended by the Foreign Secretary of Bangladesh, Masood bin Momen, while he was at Bangladesh's High Commission in the national capital of India. Momen was attending an outreach event at the High Commission in New Delhi with around 90 Delhi-based diplomats who are concurrently accredited to Bangladesh as well. The invitation to foreign observers comes at a time when Bangladesh has come under growing pressure from Western nations, especially the United States, to hold free and fair elections and to also hold talks with the opposition Bangladesh National Party, the one that you see protesting on your screens right now. Now, Momen, however, pushed back on the West's proposal to hold talks with the opposition, saying that there was no time left for any more political dialogue with the BNP. Momen assured that the elections would be inclusive, as several numbers of parties would be contesting and all the parties would be provided an even contesting field.
I met many ambassadors and representatives from missions which are concurrently accredited to Bangladesh, and briefed them about our socio-economic development, briefed them about Bangladesh-India relationship, and also briefed them about the latest political situation in Bangladesh and our preparations for holding a free and fair election on 7th of January. Many of these ambassadors cannot go frequently to Bangladesh, and ambassadors in Bangladesh, we reach out to them more frequently. So I thought that they should hear directly from me and then report back to their capitals, so that these misperceptions and rumors have no place in their reporting. No, I mean, with US we have a long-term relationship, and the last couple of years we have engaged with them at various levels. There were a number of senior officials from the US side visited Bangladesh, and also many of our senior officials, including myself, we visited the US. So I think at the official level, we have good communication. But perception is that, from time to time, that the situation or the relationship has some problems. But US has assured us that they have no favorites in our elections, and they would like to see a free and fair and peaceful elections, which we are also committed to. So I don't see any big problem. Their ambassador went on a personal trip, so that is perfectly all right.
And moving on to Europe, where in Italy and Rome, thousands rallied demanding an end to violence against women. This following the tragic murder of 22-year-old university student Guelia Cecchettin earlier this month. Eyewitness video captured the impassioned crowd chanting and marching through the city streets. The nationwide protests reflect growing outrage and a call for change. Italian lawmakers responded by pledging to tighten measures against violence towards women, approving a set of initiatives on the 22nd of November. The set of initiatives to enhance protection for vulnerable women and combat femicide throughout the country. The collective outcry underscores the urgent need for action and awareness to address gender-based violence. And it wasn't just Rome or Italy. Lima also witnessed a march by hundreds of women demanding justice for femicide victims on the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Chanting and brandishing placards, protesters spotlighted gender-based violence issues including rape, child pregnancies and murder. The mother of a female femicide victim, joined the march, expressing concerns about her daughter's murderer potentially being released. Authorities recorded 110 femicides and over 110,000 cases of family-related gender-based violence just this year alone. Protests were also seen in Madrid, where thousands rallied on Saturday for the International Day of Non-Violence Against Women, denouncing patriarchy and urging governments to take affirmative action. People were seen marching along Gran Via Avenue, holding the banner, "It's over." Now in Spain alone, 1,273 women have lost their lives to gender violence in Spain since 2003, 2 decades now, with 52 fatalities in the year 2023 alone. The powerful demonstration highlights the urgent need for societal change and government intervention to combat the pervasive issue of violence against women.
Aquí está la resistencia. Aquí.
Well, moving on, social media, so close to our lives, isn't it? A news story coming in from the digital realm as well, and a newly unsealed legal complaint. Meta, the parent company of Instagram, is under scrutiny for allegedly mishandling reports of users under the age of 13. The complaint, which has been filed by Attorney General of 33 states, reveals that despite over 1.1 million reports since early 2019, Meta, quote-unquote, disabled only a fraction of these underage accounts. Now, the social media giant is accused of collecting children's personal information without parental consent, violating federal children's privacy laws. The company may face significant civil penalties if the allegations are proven. And according to the complaint, Meta had knowledge of millions of Instagram users that were under the age of 13, yet continued to allow them on the platform. The charges are part of a larger federal lawsuit accusing Meta of concealing internal studies on user harms. The unsealed filing provides details from states' lawsuit, including internal emails and employee chats. It alleges that Meta actively sought underage users, failing to prioritize effective age-checking systems. Meta responded, stating it has worked for a decade to ensure online safety for teenagers and criticizing the complaint for mischaracterization. The company contends that Instagram's terms prohibit users under the age of 13 and it has measures in place to remove such accounts when identified. But Meta suggests that the age verification is a complex challenge and advocated for federal legislation to require parental approval for teens downloading the apps. Now, the privacy charges revolve around Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, with potential fines exceeding $50,000 per violation. The lawsuit argues that Meta neglected to build systems to detect underage users due to their perceived importance as a crucial demographic for the future growth. The filing highlights internal company data indicating Meta's awareness of underage users and the automatic dismissal of certain reports of users under the age of 13. The legal action follows Meta's 2019 settlement with the Federal Trade Commission over privacy violations, emphasizing the ongoing challenges in managing underage users on the digital platforms. And just like we promised, climate change is real. It's something that we need to talk to every day. Next up, our segment on it. Shifting our focus to Lahore in Pakistan, which retains its position among the world's top 4 most polluted cities. On Saturday morning, the air quality index in Lahore hit a score of 230, prompting significant measures. Take a look at some of those pictures on your screens. You can barely see the road. Due to the alarming pollution levels, the Punjab government in Punjab has decided to close schools on both Saturday and Sunday. Additionally, government offices in Lahore will remain shut. Markets, however, will open only after 3 p.m. on Saturdays. The state government attributes this hazardous pollution to the burning of stubble in neighboring countries. In response, cloud seeding plans are in progress in Pakistan. The aim is to induce rain, which may help disperse the lingering smog and haze in Lahore. Authorities are actively working to address this environmental crisis. Now, South Asia has become the global hotspot for air pollution, with studies finding 4 of the world's most polluted countries and 9 of the 10 most polluted cities in this particular region.
South Asia has become the global hotspot for air pollution, with toxic smog disturbing the lives of millions of people across India, Pakistan and Bangladesh.
Because of severe pollution,
it's become very difficult to breathe. There's a lot of smog, it's difficult to breathe.
Studies found 9 of the world's 10 most polluted cities are in the region. And while causes like industry and vehicles affect most countries, certain major contributors are unique to South Asia. Let's take a closer look. Solid fuel combustion for cooking and heating, human cremation, and the burning of agricultural waste all worsen air quality in the region. In New Delhi, about 38% of this year's pollution has been caused by stubble burning. It's a common farming practice to clear the fields after the rice harvest. An increase in the number of vehicles on the roads as the region develops is also exacerbating the pollution problem. In India and Pakistan, traffic has increased 4-fold since the early 2000s. Over the last 2 decades, South Asian countries have seen rapid industrialization, economic development, and population growth, leading to an increased demand for energy and fossil fuels. And even though countries have started trying to curb pollution, the measures so far have had limited effectiveness. To curb stubble burning, for example, governments can offer subsidies on better harvesting machines. But demand has been limited due to machinery costs and long waiting times.
And the world's largest iceberg, A23A, is on the move after about 3 decades. The Antarctic giant, which is 3 times the size of New York City, is drifting past the Antarctic Peninsula, propelled by winds and currents. Scientists are monitoring its rare journey and are unsure if it will impact wildlife or shipping routes.
This iceberg is one of the oldest icebergs in Antarctica, as well as being the largest at the moment. And it broke off the ice shelf in 1986, and then it remained grounded on a high point of the sea floor, quite close to where it broke off. And it stayed there for about 30 years since the mid-80s. And then in the recent years, so since around 2020, we first started to see it moving a little bit. And now it's moving relatively quickly up the eastern side of the Antarctic Peninsula and out into the open ocean. Where it was grounded quite close to the continent, the ocean is very cold. It has moved around a little bit, but I think it over time, it's probably just thinned slightly and just got that little bit of extra buoyancy that's allowed it to lift off the ocean floor and get pushed by the ocean currents. You know, an iceberg of this scale has potential to survive for quite a long time in the Southern Ocean, even though it's much warmer and it will start to melt more quickly. It could still make its way reasonably far north up towards South Africa, where it can disrupt shipping.
And that's all the time we have for you in this edition of Top Stories. This is Kabir Naqvi signing off. Lots more coming right here on News 9 Live. Don't go anywhere.
News 9 big coverage of 5 assembly polls. Mandate 2023.
With all this gear, you must be wondering if I'm climbing a mountain. Well, let me give you